Testing, 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 testing. Oh, bright. Testing, 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 testing. 1 second for anyone that's already here. Gotta check something on my phone real quick. Ideally, people arrive. Okay. Do. Oh, there we go. We got people in. Hey, White Despair, the first one here. I'm alright, man. I'm tired. We're not playing Alien because I'm just a little bit too tired. Oof. I'm excited to talk about the spoilers with you guys. Oh, hey, Sarge. Hey, man. And guys, sorry I was late. I was trying to set up Alien, but my laptop's going through a Windows update and it was taking too long, so it's not happening. But yeah, man. Oof. Now that I'm actually talking, it's been a long day for me, man. I'm having a 46-hour work week, which honestly, really good. It's gonna be really good for my grams, in the long run. But man, it's tiring. And like when you count in the book work, it turns into like probably a 60-hour work week. But there you go, life. Hey, Animamus. Happy to be here with you guys. I was really oh man, I got a story to tell you guys. I actually thought I was gonna get home before 11 my time, and before 11 my time is we have sometimes gone till 12 o'clock my time on the stream. So I thought, oh, it's gonna be okay if I'm able to do this, but I've got like quite a fun, well, not a fun story, but just quite the story of why my whole plans were ruined for the night. But I'll let you guys know. Nah, Ty, I was telling everyone else, so apologies, Ty. I was trying to get Alien set up, that's why I was late. But then the computer has a Windows update coming on, and I couldn't get it working quickly enough. So I apologize, Ty. Next week, I don't work nights on Wednesday and Thursday, so Wednesday will be the regular spoilers, and Thursday will be Alien, and I will make sure that there are no window updates. So apologies, Ty, but I am invested in continuing. For tonight, though, I'm just a little bit too wiped. And people walking into his wrench. Oh yeah, people like doing that, Kayla. I don't know why, man. Like, I'm a nice lady, you know, just walking around, minding my business. Mind you, I do think Ripley talks a little bit too much, considering the situation. But yeah, you know, that's just my thoughts. Oh, thank you, Ty. Thank you for your kindness there, man. I just hope that you're there next week, because I was again, Ty, I definitely missed you on last week Thursday, because I really thought you would have had fun with that one. But again, you were doing something really cool. But again, it's just kind of sad to miss you. Hey Gohan. Gohan, we haven't talked in a while. I hope you're okay. Hope you're doing okay, man. I hate to say it, Gohan, but like I've kind of gotten used to you checking in on me every now and again. This isn't good for me, Gohan. We should have more boundaries. I'm joking, obviously. But yeah, guys. So you know, Genshin will be on the screen. I'll just be doing my dailies just to get it done, because again, this is the only time I really get to play Genshin nowadays. And yeah, we'll talk about the spoilers. My input. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a super lot of thoughts, man. Gohan, just hold on here, buddy, because I know you don't like Hero Academia here. So, and I know this is going to upset you a lot more. So just don't mind it, man. Oh, I'm curious. Is there like some kind of amount of money you're trying to get with the extra jobs? I might have missed a statement or two in the past about it. You know, Sarge, this is like a lifelong journey at this point, because, you know, it's an ailing family. Sarge, I believe you have like Latino roots, right? I believe you're one of the ones with Spanish roots. There is a sum of money that I want to reach to help out my gramps on this one. But I'd rather not say that out loud. You know, just keep that bit under control. Otherwise, you know, it's just an issue of I'll just keep working for a while, just burn. And hopefully eventually like YouTube and the books will just become a lot. And hopefully I'll be able to just wean myself off of the legit jobs and just focus on self-employment stuff. But yeah, Sarge, you get it. Like, I usually with Hispanic families, right? You send money back, or you support your grandparents all the way through, right? Like, I'm sure you live in a or I'm sure you're aware of the idea of living in a multi-generational household, because it's especially common within the Hispanic groups. Well, that makes me feel. I must admit, Star literally calling an all for one an idiot was priceless. All right, guys. Let me officially read the spoilers so that we can all be on the same page, and we'll get there. Okay, so quick recap on the spoilers. Yeah, I live with my grandparents. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I get that, Sarge, man. Like, a lot of my, a lot of my family, but really family friends, they still have their great grandparents with them too, so it's just normal. But yeah, at this point, my grandpa's just really sick, so might as well just pay him back. Dom would be proud. Have you not read the spoilers? No, man, I read them. I haven't thought of. I wanted to make a spoiler video, but I didn't have time today. But here we go. The chapter begins with the Jets going after Shigaraki, who now has wings. So you guys know, I kind of went on the side of that wasn't Shigaraki, but the doubt was there, and the author did a pretty good job on like leading into this, because there was some strangeness on that final page. So this is okay. I do have some comments, because I was thinking about it, and it's like, this guy is able to reanimate corpses, and he's still relying on quirks in order to create wings. And I'm just thinking, like, if you're the kind of guy that can that can that can augment Shigaraki without the use of quirks, I don't know how you couldn't generate wings, right, without a quirk. That's definitely like one of those weird spots. I think in conception, I just find it strange, but this is a situation where it kind of depends on how you look at it. Also, let me just look at something here. I want to look at that Nomu again. Actually, let me just very quickly go to chapter 332. I just want to look at that Nomu one more time, because I feel like something's screwy with that Nomu. Let me just check this here real quick. How did that Nomu fly out of the hole without wings? I guess the author was very careful to not actually draw the note. Yeah, how did that Nomu propel itself out of there without wings? I don't fully understand that. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let me continue reading these things before we start talking for realsies. He continues to look for someone whom it is revealed that he stole the quirk from the Nomu before blowing him up 2 chapters ago, whatever. He continues to look for someone to whom he can pass the New Order quirk before his consciousness disappears. He continues to sense All Might's menacing presence in Star. He then propels himself at high speed out of the pilot's field of vision. They lament and remember what Star said before the fight, that she would send their bodies back to their families. He says that she has surely surpassed All Might and became the greatest hero of all. No. No. All Might took down All For One. All For One had to come back without a head. Like, no. She has not surpassed All Might and become the greatest hero of all. No. You pretty much you almost screwed the whole world on this one. No, that's just like the author. This is one of those consolation prizes. Like, honestly, having Star give the parting shot was a lot better than this statement. And if this is the standard that you need to surpass All Might, then Izuku's going to surpass it. It's not even a joke. We then see inside of a house where a guy and lady are watching TV. He says that the power and water have not been cut off yet. That's a waste. So they plan to enjoy a quiet little life after having been released from prison. They don't want to get involved in trouble anymore. The guy's name is Kashi, a thief and serial killer. Soon after that, the house is destroyed. Shigaraki has just landed there and is all beaten up, but he sees an opportunity in front of him. He suspects that Star created a rule that would prohibit New Order from coexisting with other quirks, so he plans to steal Kashi's quirk and then give him New Order so he could have control over New Order's user. I actually think that's actually pretty smart. He wants to use New Order still. As soon as he tries to do so, an image of Star appears in his mind and calls him an idiot. Since the order was that New Order was going to revolt against other quirks, it ended up wearing out in the process by having to face the multiple quirks that All For One possesses. So, this is kind of... I need to see the final wording on this one, because revolting against something doesn't mean you're going to be destroyed in the process. So it's kind of loose here. And what this ultimately does is that it makes the quirks, like ultimately this was genetics fighting genetics. And it's kind of strange to imagine the quirks are white blood cells in this sense, fighting the cancer cells. Um, I do think things are a little bit loose on this one, but honestly, I don't mind. Because the author did show that Star was being destroyed as she was fighting. So this is just a good follow through on that one. In other words, New Order ends up ceasing to exist. And this other part is interesting because quirks can destroy other quirks. That's the most fundamental thing. You don't need to be Shigaraki to destroy other quirks. So I found that really interesting, that just flat out a quirk can destroy another quirk. You don't have to be special. Like quite literally, these people are ghosts and they destroyed another ghost. So this is... I think that this could be relatively interesting in terms of whether or not this has long-lasting consequences for everyone else. She regrets not being able to destroy all of the quirks, but sends one last message to Shigaraki, all for one. As long as the will to protect continues to exist, determination of a hero will be passed on. Yeah, this is pretty much what happened with All for One's first try at this whole thing. At the end of the day, like All for One knows this. All for One knows that heroes are always going to be around. That's why he lost the first time. Surely someone will be able to put an end to them. Anyway, we go on. All for One says that he doesn't care about that and that he won the battle simply by coming out alive. Deep down in their consciousness, someone is thinking for sure some hero is going to, and we see young young Tenko surrounded by dozens of hands. He then says Midoriya. I don't think it was a good idea to show the kid looking so scary, and I do think some of the impact was gone by having Neo Shigaraki acknowledge that Tenko was inside of him. I think the author should have omitted that line and then kept this. The dozen of hands is pretty much just Tenko is being protected by those hands. Which might link back to Shigaraki's rhetoric about how being held by hands makes him feel. I do feel that this is going to be really messy because I think the author kind of screwed up with the whole hands metaphor. I think it goes all over the place, and I don't think he knows what he wants to do with those hands. The Jets arrive in Japan, and it's reported that they continue to search for Shigaraki after he ran away, but his whereabouts are unknown. The news of the death of the strongest woman and the existence of such a powerful villain shook the entire world. It was decided that no country would send any more reinforcements to Japan as they decided to prioritize their own safety. So, you guys know this is really relevant with what we talk about because I've been floating the idea that this was probably going to be the story of why no one else helps Japan. And I have a lot of thoughts about this because we're actually getting to see it here. So I do like being correct on the idea here. The conversations that come out of this are like relatively nuanced, because depending on how you look at it, this is kind of bad for Star, but depending on how you look at it, this is really good for Horikoshi, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Maybe I'll talk about it on the video as well. The leader of the pilots is reporting the events to the police and All Might, who says he wishes he could have met Cassie. I think this is another horrific line for Star, because this is just making her into more of a joke. However, he claims, and you know, when they say he could have met Cassie, I think they might mean, okay, you know what, there might be more context in the official translations, but right now I'm thinking like meet her as a hero. He claims that the efforts were not in vain because the Jets have technology to detect the target's vital signs, analyze the quirks they are facing, and store that information. With this in hand, maybe they can discover some of Shigaraki's weaknesses. The next day, All Might went to the dorms to let them know that Shigaraki's completion has been delayed. He was supposed to reach perfect condition by tomorrow, but now he will probably stay unable to move for at least 1 week. They need to make the most of the time so they can defeat Shigaraki in All for One. The final page shows Izuku, Bakugo, and Todoroki. Okay, this entire last bit, I think, is like the worst thing about this whole thing. And, you know, I say worst, but I mean like critically. You know, if I was just a regular fan not doing YouTube, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, that's fine. But in terms of a critical thing, I mentioned this in the video, but time is one of the most manipulatable substances in shonen, so this is stupid. And the situation here is like, how do you know he's going to be like that for at least 1 week? This isn't just a situation of quirks, and mind you, the Jets might have like super hardcore technology, like wow, amazing. Also, though, if the Jets have super hardcore technology, that pilot should have known that Shigaraki was not going to die if Star blew him up at that moment. Alright, so like you really have to tell me, is Star's judgment correct over the Jets when that guy was saying that Shigaraki's going to die? And mind you, there might be a time component, because reasonably, it'd be smart to say there's a time component for how long the analysis takes. And that way you can have a situation where Star says, oh no, no, your jet is wrong. Shigaraki would not have died. But if we go into this whole idea, just with the idea that Star countered something that someone with technology said, I don't know how they can trust those jets. There's too many weird things going on with Shigaraki. I don't think those jets can quantify what's going on inside of Shigaraki's mind. I don't think those jets can quantify the things that the doctor did to him, because that's not based on quirks. I think there are way too many problems here. I want to know if those jets can actually quantify what's going on with the Nomu. Like, did those jets be able to say, like, oh yeah, those Nomu are going to be totally vaporized by the missiles, right? I think that last little bit from the spoilers is absolute trash in terms of just what it's trying to do. Because again, I don't understand how they're saying, like, oh yeah, at least 1 week. Mind you, like, this is like shonenisms, but I do think on a critical level, that final bit is just ridiculous. It's just, and the other problem here again is that you have Star countering what someone with the jet said, and without the extra detail of whether or not it takes long to analyze, it puts it in a really weird gray area. I wouldn't trust anything of what these people are saying, because they've already been shown to be wrong, even though they have this cutting edge technology. Alright, cool. That's me. Let me read your guys' stuff here. Let's see. Spoilers are short and a bit weak this week. It didn't even mention Endeavor's ugliest facial expression he ever made. Oh yeah, I did look at the pictures, Kayla. I should probably look at the pictures again. Let's see. I also noticed that Izuku's in his gym uniform. I thought that was alright. Oh yeah, that is a pretty. That kind of looks like he's constipated. Yeah, okay. I like that Hawks is just talking on the phone though. Pretty chill guy. Thanks, Kayla. Kind of sad that Star was only able to give them a week. Was thinking of maybe a month, or at most, or a minimum of 2 weeks. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, Ty. The doctor was able to turn the corpse of a high school student into a creature made entirely of smoke that tears holes in it. His science is just weird. The Nomu came into the fight with a glorious purpose. Maybe Shigaraki shot the Nomu up with air cannon. Oh, that's a good one. Nowhere near the greatest hero. Some of my neighbors already have Christmas trees set up. Yeah. I kind of seen no reason to know his name. But don't forget, Trip. The current rhetoric is that All Might failed to defeat All for One. I say rolling my eyes because I think tons of recent rhetoric is absurd. Well, I mean, like, he couldn't beat a cockroach, right? Like, cockroaches are very hard to actually kill, right? So he, like, it's not for a lack of trying. Starting to bash Shiga All for One head to the point of making him match All for One's potato head, and she has no right to surpassing All Might. Hey, Robert. Yeah, like, she's like, All Might, when he took out All for One, he set him back by years. When Star got involved, she set him back by a week. What I think is a joke is how badly the author treated Star as a character in general. It was literally foul. Oh, and I have no regrets doing so. Gotcha, Gohan. I feel like this is the only situation where someone like that could have happened with the quirk getting destroyed. The Tenko stuff is really intriguing. Oh yeah, always has been. The new series of Shonen Jump seems like a Phantom Seer in a sense. I see what you're saying there. I do think it has a few distinct differences from Phantom Seer, but we'll need to see. One of the big differences is that Phantom Seer, the main character actually knows a lot about the hidden world, whereas with Ayashimon, the main character is still a little bit of an underdog. Man, just look at the face All for One is making when Star disappears. I'd say he looked angry, but we don't know. We know better, don't we? We know that All for One can't feel anger at all. Yeah, no, there's veins bulging on his face. He's angry. Like, props for Horikoshi, man. I think that this chapter sort of destroys a lot of the heroics of Izuku wanting to save Tenko. Before this chapter, we had Izuku wanting to try and save him. Now, the current chapter, this is no longer the case. Now, what we have is instead fully certain that Izuku specifically will come to rescue him, and he is simply waiting for that to happen. Wait, let me read this again. Before we had Izuku wanting to try and save him. Now, this current chapter. I don't know, because, like, this is still about reaching that inner child. Like, it was always about reaching out to the inner child. It depends on how you frame it, White Despair, I think. Because, like, you're saying, I can see a little bit of the significance of what you're saying, but I think Tenko still needs help. Mind you, I really hope that Horikoshi is just going to stick it straight and say that Tenko needs help and he's not a creepy child. I can just hear that, and this is the story of why the world's heroes aren't trying to save Japan. Yeah. We'll talk about that one too, because that's a big spot here. How does All Might know that it'll be another week? After workout, muscle pains are no joke, especially after sparing the with the world's strongest woman. Shiki being delayed again is kind of dragging, but makes sense because the heroes need more time. But just stop the Nomu with Shigaraki. Yes. Off topic, but one of the comedy manga I'm reading. Okay, let's see. Don't worry, Tenko, I'm here too. Yeah, I know why you're here. Just what took you so long? I've been waiting for you specifically to show up this past week. Ah, okay, I see what you're saying. But, yeah, no, like, we know that the inner child was inside of Shigaraki the entire time, so he's been waiting on Izuku for a long time. He's been waiting on Izuku from the moment that we knew that he was in there when he told Shigaraki not to go. So from my perspective, I don't see too much of an issue here. Understandable that they want payback, but what could they really do when their strongest failed to put Shigaraki down? They play a defensive battle. Like, when I really think when Aizawa says we're going to get payback, people got hyped up about it, but that was just a nonsensical line. Oh, oops. Sorry, guys. The payback that they're going to be getting is just defending UA. There's not actually going to be a raid on the villains, I don't think. Not at this stage. And I do think if there is a raid, I think they're going to, like, horribly fail. Oh, excellent, Kayla. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty correct, Kayla. That's a pretty correct one. I don't trust the 1 week thing. It might come back to bite him again. Yeah. So what on earth is going on with Class 1A's outfit at the end of the chat? Izuku's in his gym uniform. Bakugo's in his winter outfit. Momo's in her leotard and slippers. Ochako is in an entirely, and Ojiro seems to be shirtless for some reason. You know what? I didn't know about Ojiro. I didn't notice Ojiro. Let me. Also, what was the Central Hospital line for? Does anyone know what they said on the Central Hospital line? Anyway, let me look at this page again. Oh, you know what? They're probably getting ready. A bunch of them are in slippers, though. But that's because they're inside. They're probably getting ready, I think. Izuku's probably in his gym uniform because his regular suit is too ratty. He's probably going to be training with Mei. Yeah, why is Bakugo in the wind? Oh, is Bakugo trying to get more sweaty? That's pretty... Oh, he might also have, like, damaged clothing, I guess. Good observation there. Don't ever just by comparing it to trash like Phantom Seer. I don't really get why other countries wouldn't help out Japan. I would imagine that other countries have their own national guard for domestic problem, military that are meant to be deployed overseas. No, Mark, I think what the like, we'll talk about it again more. But one of the issues here is that the countries right now are like super taxed with All for One's friends causing issues. And they, what's going to happen is that if they send their top heroes, they're going to lose not just like 1% of their force. They're going to lose like a good like 20% of their defense force. That's why they don't want to send their top heroes. Mind you, like this, again, this is just the justification for why it's going to be Japan only, right? This is what we've been talking about the entire time. This is just justification. And again, let me just go through the comments and we'll talk. That potato was like child acting like he didn't want the quirk anyway, but is actually ready to throw a tantrum. Evil mastermind, I tell. Yeah. Shigaraki just recently got Tenko's memory, so I feel like Tenko said Izuku specifically because he remembers always being around Midoriya. Recall the mall where he asked him for advice, basically. I also think that Tenko, like when they have that vestige moment, Tenko might have realized that Izuku was approaching him. Right? Like when they have that moment where Izuku's a child and he's reaching out to Tenko, I think they might have actually connected at that moment. Flower gave me a reason to use my teapot. Oh, okay. Let's see. I think the kids are changing into their winter costume. By the way, I never realized how tall Momo is. Not surprised if she's 6 foot after time skip. Personally, I think that a raid on is probably what we'll be getting. Oh, man. You want Ojiro to wear a shirt, says Skelly. From 3 days to a week doesn't feel like much of a win for Star, in my opinion. Horikoshi can have character praiser, but she was more of a pebble in his shoe. I think it's because Bakugo's office destroyed. Okay, I agree with that. I'm not happy to see Izuku in the USJ. I understand that his costume messed up, but still. Mei was in the volume sketches, right? So we're probably still getting a Mei scene where she's fixing up the costume. So I think this is just a temporary placeholder. We might see Izuku's final costume in the final battle. Why on earth is okay, he was wearing his regular outfit when class when it does he like chilling in the lounge? Yeah, I think he just wants to get sweaty. Baku being in his winter outfit is very smart. Didn't think about that. Okay, I got there. So talking about the whole situation with the international heroes. For a Star, you know, making the so first off, you know, there's an issue of entertainment versus like story content. At the end of the day, these 5 chapters are pretty much just here to tell you, hey, this is the full story as to why the heroes are going to be on their own in Japan. right? This is just the full story to justify that. And so, like, what you have to evaluate is, like, okay, did you get, like, a lot of valuable things out of Star and Stripe's sequence, aside from her dying and all that kind of stuff? When it comes to evaluating this, if you can remove all of Star and Stripe's stuff, and the story still makes sense, and then you just adjust how much time the characters had from 3 days to a week before this all goes down, you know, does Star actually make a significant difference in the story? That's kind of how you have to evaluate these things. Now, for Star just being ultimately an excuse for why an artificial time limit was extended to an artificial later date, what's critical here is that I think this is really good for the author, because the author is terrible at world building. I really think he should... I would never tell him, you need to add international heroes to the final arc. I don't think he can handle it. I think he's absolutely horrible with extra characters. Like, the example is, look at what happened with the Liberation Army. The Liberation Army has, like, a bunch of people, and a bunch of those people just got capped. Like, we know, the lieutenants or the advisors. A lot of interesting designs, and a lot of those people ultimately got captured without even saying a line. And, like, at that time, he was only using them by kind of having them in the background. Mind you, some of them did some amazing things, but at the end of the day, we don't know these people's names. They're just people in the background. We're getting the bare minimum from them. Like, the guy that kills Midnight, and then the guys who are mutant shape, and they want to talk about mutant shape discrimination. These guys are like the most basic of plot devices. So ultimately, when it comes to the international heroes, it would be a giant waste of time. The author already has significant issues with screen time. We can look at Joint Training as a manifestation of him trying to correct the issues with screen time, and ultimately making people even more upset. Well, you know, like the casuals making them more upset. So when you have the situation, 100% he shouldn't be bringing in international heroes. Now, I do think a bunch of international heroes will show up, like, in the final, like, 10 chapters, just to be like, haha, we are here to help, because that's just a 100% lip service. But in the long run, this is better for him. He really should just limit this to Japan, because if Hero Academia was a story where you actually had good, high-quality world building on the level of One Piece, it'd be different. But it's not. Hero Academia was never meant to be at this high of a scale. I mean, like, maybe in Vigilantes you could say, like, okay, Vigilantes is slightly bit better because of Captain Celebrity, but this is much better for him. He has to limit the scope. Now, in terms of Star, you know, like, Star's whole argument's going to be about, like, was the story of why no one's helping Japan entertaining? It was entertaining. I mean, I had fun with you guys talking about it week to week, right? Like, I at the end of the day, I had fun, even though it was a pretty good odds that this girl was going to die. I'm glad that he didn't disrespect her, though. There could have been a lot more things going on in there that made it way worse, so I appreciate that he didn't do that. But, yeah. Rough times for Little Star. And now when you watch the first movie, you can look at that girl and you can be like, yeah, crap, you know, if All Might never saved her, she probably would have gotten away with injuries, but she would have had a full life. She would have lived to be an old lady.
Illusion shattered.
And, yeah, like, honestly, the whole thing with the time frame, that's definitely by far, like, the weakest thing in terms of just what the narrative does. It only really works on an entertainment point. I think if you were living your life 1 week at a time, 100% this stuff is going to be super exciting for you. But if you're the kind of person that's just, you know, looking ahead to the future, you're probably not going to value these stuff as much. Let's see. Those aren't veins, Strip. Those are smiling wrinkles. Don't confuse the two. This is the face of a man who can't feel anger, is always smiling. No. I better think of 1A fighting villains as training. If I see them sparring or fighting robots, I think that would be a waste. Yeah, my hair could just kill characters to make it look more serious than it is. Class 1A probably going to have joint training. Maybe she gets to this time. I don't think that'd be a good idea unless they abridge it. At the end of the day, Star is a fault for making Japan rely on themselves. Everything is still on Izuku, even though Endeavor told them that international heroes were coming in. The kids are their last hope, and it's truly sad. Why isn't my mess... oh, Deathray. Is something going on with your messages? Try breaking it up, Deathray. Do you think Shigaraki will actually accept Izuku's help? It might just be that Shigaraki realized that Izuku wanted to help him and might end up using him to get rid of All For One and then dispose of him. I was just thinking that because of how ominous and creepy that panel looked, not really like a small crouch. Yeah, no, if I think that panel only works if there's something going on with Tenko and he's creepy, like actually. But otherwise, I think it's a bad move to show him looking so creepy. And, there is something significant in separating Tenko so much from Shigaraki. Like, you're playing a really dangerous game here if you're going to separate them to this degree. Like, ideally, you want Tenko to unify with Shigaraki. Or, yeah, that's the right one. You want him to unify with Shigaraki because Shigaraki ultimately is an extension of Tenko. And if you want to save Tenko, you can't just erase 20 years of Shigaraki's life. What is it, 20? Like 17, 15 years of Shigaraki's life? 10 years of Shigaraki's life? You can't erase that. So ultimately, when that Tenko comes in there, that Tenko better just be there to help Izuku break through to Shigaraki. And that Tenko better give his older Shigaraki a hug. Because Shigaraki, the persona himself, is a victim of All For One's machinations. You gotta be really careful here with the rhetoric on the significance of that Tenko part. And at this point, Tenko represents the hope in heroes. I can't wait for Class 1A band start singing to Shigi. You can't hold back. Bypass. You have to let go of your anger and grow. Yes, okay. Let's see. Yeah, it seems like overall Star Wars will need to get the rest of the world not involved. Seems like she didn't make a difference in, if you really think about it. Yeah, like if the author is smart, he's going to come up with tricks, right? He's gonna make up tricks like, oh guys, yo man, because Shigaraki took out the reflect quirk, Izuku can now fight Shigaraki using projectiles. Isn't that great? Star made a difference. It's like, no, the reflect quirk only comes up during the Star arc, so you quite literally introduced something that you removed within 3 chapters. That's not impressive. So this is where, like, I honestly, if he goes in there with tricks and he tries to trick us with saying like, oh yeah, no, these quirks that you only find out about during the Star fight, those were critical quirks, and Shigaraki lost them. Like, that's Star's contribution. That's just cheap. That's like the cheapest thing. But then again, the author is super cheap. He's been super cheap before. So we really want to avoid that. Like, really, if he takes out the regen quirk, that's a good one. Technically, if you take out any of the quirks that were introduced before the Star fight, that's a little bit more worthwhile. It's just like, again, and I say this for all the other series, anyone can introduce a thing out of nowhere and then integrate it into the story. Anyone can do that. That's not that hard. Maybe the hardest thing about it is integrating it into the story and actually using it well. But otherwise, it's not a hard thing to do. And with Star is a manifestation of him doing that. And he did a trick where he says like, oh, this is the girl from the movie, but it's like, yo man, that could have literally, like, she could have been literally anyone. Like, that I appreciate, because you're putting in the effort to create the trick in of itself, but it's ultimately still just an illusion. But mind you, like, now we're talking about like really, like, these are relatively nuanced things, because when it comes to narrative tricks, the trick in of itself isn't a terrible thing. It's really how visible the trick is. If the narrative trick is too visible that you can tell what the author is doing, and you can tell why it's kind of happening, it's different than a trick that's well hidden within a lot more surrounding events. Let's see. For instance, just to give you an example, and this would have been an example of a trick that the author only knew. If the author was planning the series really ahead of time, and let's say he had revealed the reflect quirk at the first fight with Izuku and Shigaraki at the hospital, had he done that and he had it always in his mind that, oh yeah, I'm going to get rid of this reflect quirk later on with Star, it would have... He ultimately is still introducing something for the sake of removing it later, but because of the amount of time that passes and because it actually becomes a credible threat, it executes better. So this is what it means when it comes down to tricks, to just kind of hide them within your prose or kind of hide it within your story. And mind you, this is ultimately a manifestation of like really good planning. So unfortunately, like when it comes to these kind of things, the closer it is to the big critical event, and the closer something pops up to the critical event, the cheaper it is in general. And so really the writer's the best thing a writer can do is plan things out. I will say, like the stuff that happened with Star, this kind of shenanigan of introducing a character only to wipe them out in 5 chapters, this kind of shenanigan really only works best in novels, because in a novel you're not going through literally like 2 hours, right? Like this fight with Shigaraki could not have lasted more than 2 hours. With a light novel, for instance, you might cover about 8 months of a time period, or you might cover like a month or like 5 weeks. In a light novel, it makes a lot more sense to introduce a character at the beginning of the novel and wipe them out by the end, because you have a lot of time to actually work with them, as opposed to this. Because with Star, she's only been in the story for 2 hours. That's actually kind of crazy. So, you know, there's a lot of layers when it comes to this kind of stuff and evaluating it. Let's see, and I'm going to have you watch The World's Finest Assassin. I've watched 3 episodes going rogue. I'm still busy, so I think next week is when I will watch all my anime. Gohan said, yeah, it was wrong for him to sacrifice just because he has issues in the world. He's done that to other characters before to make other characters look good. Trip, how do you think that Class A is going to train? I would say they should look for Shigaraki or take out villains. Like, they should be doing what Shindo is doing. Like, Shindo is out there and he's rescuing people. I think they should be doing that as well. Yeah, the panel isn't really... If he said something like, somebody please help me, then that would be one thing. However, going off the spoilers, actually saying something more along the lines, I am fully confident Izuku will be coming to rescue me. That's fair, but like again, like Tenko represents hope in heroes. So I feel like it's okay for him to feel like Izuku's going to be the one to save him. But I understand what you're saying there. Let's wait for the final tone on the spoiler images, because like the creepy Tenko might be desperate Tenko. He might be desperate for someone to save him. My Hero Academia world building need more work. Kill off Star, and Stripes should have stayed off for a few more chapters, as he got caught to be brought into UA. Shigaraki is who he is because of Tenko. That's the scariest part to me. I hope that doesn't get glossed over. He's been Shigaraki longer. That's again, like we need to have a good meld here. Hopefully this tells Jiro to not think about the concert for a while. She can have a school concert once L for 1 Shigi is defeated and the whole class is still alive. Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't want you want. Okay, no worries, Gohan. A new order was more like use as a power ceiling of existing OP quirks aside from All for One and One for All. I get that, but still, it would be nice to have more world building in Hero Academia, though not likely to happen. It feels like a waste. Also, Trip, I also disappointed this new being that was said to have been created. It's pretty much All for One being 90% in control. Doesn't feel like a new character personality. It's just All for One. You know it. Like, White Despair talked about this when it happened, but there was that one chapter where All for One contradicts himself within a quick thing, where he says that one, Shigaraki's going to be him, and then in the next page he says, oh, we're going to be an amalgam. So really, it depends on which All for One you listen to. Do you listen to the first thing he says or the last thing he says? Tenko the panel has his black hair and his eye scar, but once he got his eye scar, his hair changed. The hands too, that's the coping mechanism. I agree. It's a coping mechanism. But it's probably those hands are covering him, or it's going to be the root of why Shigaraki always feels so weird. But the author is so flip-floppy on those hands, with Shigaraki in particular, that's just going to be a mess. Star should have stayed a curse. Should have stayed because her quirk was powerful enough to catch him, but plot armor come and touch her. New order destroyed, All for One quirk, world saved, the end. Fujimoto's best work is Look Back. I mean, for a one-shot, I don't really care about one-shots, though. Like, one-shots are not that hard to screw up. Well, would have been better if Star gets rid of regen and he can't get back by getting another regen quirk. Hope he incorporates the emotional aspect of it into Chainsaw Man or a different story in the future. I think Horikoshi is good at world building when it comes to Japan in isolation. The world building becomes weak when we take into account that this story takes place in our own world, how complex each country is, the law system that exists. So when the greater world outside of Japan isn't developed or mentioned, it can feel very small and underdeveloped. Just my thoughts. Alex, I think you bring up, like, this is an interesting conversation. I think I would say Horikoshi probably is okay at world building within Japan, like you say. But I don't think he's good in execution, and I have a really good example of why that's the case. It's the novels it's the volume extra materials, and it's volume extra materials and the novels. So what I mean by that is, like, you have this whole story about, the Public Safety Commission, this one guy, the head that screwed over Nagant and Nagant killed, he was actually doing really shady stuff, bringing up people from the underworld and turning them into assassins. And then, like, Nagant went in and killed them because she was a victim of this situation. And then you have the lady that came up to replace him. She did away with that system and tried to make things better. She tried to protect Nagant by just putting her in jail and not getting rid of her altogether. So you have this wonderful little story here, but where do you find out about this? It's not in the pages of the manga. And remember, when the Nagant stuff happened, people thought, like, oh my god, we're going to be talking about corruption in the Hero Academia universe. No, psych, that's a lie. We're not going to be talking about it because the author doesn't care about it. The author cares about it so little that he added it in as a volume extra. No. So this is like the significant issue with Horikoshi. And another example is there is the one newscaster who has a chopped off horn. And he did that in protest. And it's like, oh, but what did you do that in protest for? That's pretty interesting. And you find out, you have the little story popping up in the volume extras. And they're like, oh, crap. Yeah, shit. That's pretty cool. You also find out another little thing of, oh, hey, people always complain about not being able to use their quirks. But hey, actually, in the volume extra, you find out, oh yeah, you can use your quirk outside if you're not bothering anyone. No one's really gonna care. You can use your telekinesis quirk to pick up some change on the bus. No one really cares. And when you consider that, it's like, why are you guys even fighting for quirk expression if everyone doesn't care if you're not hurting anyone else? So this is the problem with Hero Academia. I don't think he's actually really good at prioritizing what world building details he has to show. I think he's really good at writing them out. And I think he's really good at having them in the background. And then this goes into creating good stuff for the novels. But the fact that something as critical as Nagant's situation is in a volume extra? No. He's not good at executing on world building. He's good at planning it, not good at executing. And this leads into situations where people misread what's going on in the manga and they think, like, oh my god, this would be really cool to find out about. Nope. We don't have time for that in the story. So that's how I would come back to it, Alex. I think it's a nuanced situation. And I think the nuance is visible in every stage of the story. Let me know your thoughts on that if you're still there. Time to go steal New Order, even though this body won't be completed until tomorrow. All for one proceeds to lose a bunch of quirks and gets his time limit extended to 1 week. I'm not dead. I'm obviously the winner. Yeah, like his win conditions went from getting New Order to, oh my god, I have to survive. Oh, hey, sorry. No, I wasn't around last night either. The story needs to set up what countries will. Yeah, they would trade against Izuku. If nobody can help Japan, what will society think inside and out? I think this will lead to like really bad planning. I think this will lead to like really bad relations to Japan in the future, honestly. Because it's like, you guys left us alone, but this was a worldwide threat. And even Star's pilots should have been able to say, like, this guy is serious. If we leave Japan to deal with this by themselves, he's going to wipe all of us out. But no, this is just, the author needs something quick and dirty. And though I can help Japan, what will suffice? Like, let's see. Should have included an international sports type school competition if they want to do world building. People watching a school sports festival instead of the Olympics didn't make sense to me. Yeah, hero-centric. Feels like the new personality was just used to counter Star's quirk. Take that out and the story doesn't change. Just all for one being a parasite inside Shigaraki. If it was Izuku versus Class 1A as training, I honestly feel like Class 1A will struggle against him now that Izuku isn't a cranky boy. Plus, Izuku needs to train in flying and or using 3 quirks plus all for, one for all. Yes. I found out that a series I'm reading may be getting an anime for next year. It's called Different World Slow Life, begun at the Smith. Oh, that's cool. As the Smith? Okay. Writing with a bunch of characters is hard. Writing with a bunch of characters is hard, especially a bunch of characters. Wait, sorry, going rogue. Writing with a bunch of characters is hard, especially a bunch of characters. But Izuku versus 1A was lackluster. Star Death was how not to kill a new character with a powerful quirk like Edwards. Tenko in 270 also killed his father again. I feel like that was Shigaraki regressed. I don't think that was actually Tenko, because Tenko told Shigaraki to stop. And I think like Shigaraki has a false sense of security. So in 270, I think we see Shigaraki false sense of security. So Tarnish, I have a different interpretation on that one. Just keep that in mind on my side. Yashima will be clear of every other new gen by chapter 5. Oh, that's good, Death Ray. Good that you believe. He has a hard time in manga, but can he do it in a novel? Is he the one writing the novel? I think if he does what Kubo did, I think if he gives all his notes to the Durarara author, I think the Durarara author could really elevate it. Because the Durarara author 100% can handle a wide cast of characters. So, although for the Durarara author, I'm not sure that he could actually do world building. I'm not confident on that because Durarara is locked to one city most of the time. So I'm not sure he could do the world building, but I do think he could juggle a lot of characters. Mind you, I think the person that writes the I think the person who writes school briefs does it really well. They're able to juggle quite a lot of characters. Like heck, school briefs single-handedly explains why Monoma is so important to Class 1B. Let's see. She has his power, but his death wasn't great. But hers was just showing off a few chapters and killing her off just like that. Horikoshi is amazing at world building. What I mean by that is world building with Class 1A and some students and faculty in the novels and team up missions manga. Yes. Oh yeah, the team up mission manga were pretty good. More like it's going to be team training. Like A-Band are actually going to be a team. They were kind of close together in the panel. Okay. You also have the story about how one of Bakugo's childhood friends were actually the son of Dr. Yujiko and was used to create the Wing Nomu who picked up Izuku and Hoshu. Yes. Yes, and we also have like the whole thing with Makia's quirks. I don't think that's a big deal though. Mike is 4 out of 10 for me now. Oh, that's too bad going rogue. Leaks say Undead Unlock is getting an anime announcement at Jump Fest. I hope it's true. Oh, nice, good for them. It's probably gonna be a limited run. The sports festival should have been the nationals, and then there would have been an international sports festival. Yeah, like if if they had followed even Irregular of Magic High School style, because I think Gohan. Irregular of Magic High School, do they bring in the... Because I remember that Lena was she was a transfer. But I think Irregular does it pretty well. Because Irregular treats the magicians flat out as weapons of the state. So, and that's pretty much what the heroes are in Hero Academia. Irregular of Magic High School's format might have been the one to follow. But again, you can't really compare novels and manga because the novels have an innate advantage when it comes to this stuff. Let's see. This sports festival should have been a national. I would love a quick training sequence with Izuku and One where they prepare to face Shigaraki. Tai says, "Dang Trip, that volume extra about them being able to use their quirks as long as they don't cause harm pretty much makes the Liberation Army look like a bunch of spoiled children." Exactly. It makes them look stupid. And mind you, like I still think when it comes to some of the things in the spin-off materials, there's the one guy who gets penalized for having a quirk that will quite literally kill him if he doesn't release it in team-up missions. And I think it's ridiculous that he gets penalized. That's ridiculous. But, the world of Hero Academia in the spin-off materials is significantly more interesting to look at than the one presented in the manga itself. The only question I have is how he got set back a week. What regen can't heal him in a couple of hours to be completed on schedule? I don't get how Star set him back a week to be completed. Oh, Chris, that's just, like, at this point, just assume that to be just some poop that All Might's coming up with, man. Like, there's no reason. Like, just accept it as what the author needs to do. Like, honestly, it doesn't make sense to me unless the All for One quirk itself was damaged. Which, if the author wants to say All for One's quirk itself was damaged, and he ends up losing a lot of quirks in the process because of the damage to the main quirk, I wouldn't mind that because you see him damaged. If you want to take him out like that, that's totally fine. But otherwise. Anyway, I think this gives Shigaraki the opportunity to disintegrate the main all-for-one body, so this is great for me. As far as I can tell, from the spoilers and images there's literally no reason why we got the panel of Central Hospital. None of the characters are even there. We just see it for no reason. Okay, so we'll have to see like what the final translations are saying, because like that's weird. If Central Hospital is popping up, someone's in there. And that's probably going to be relevant. My worst fear is coming into fruition this chapter. Chiki getting the ability to fly. I know I was questioning this weeks ago, but Deku doesn't have the sky advantage anymore. My question is, why doesn't Shigaraki have the airwalk quirk? Is it because All For One gave it to actually, All For One giving it to Nagant should say Shigaraki has a copy of the Airwalk quirk. Like, actually, think about it. All For One gave his gave the original All For One quirk to the Doctor. He goes to the fight with against All Might with Airwalk, and then we know, since it's the copy, the original must have had Airwalk, but then Shigaraki's not using it. It's just so weird. All For One didn't even lose any important quirks. If he lost Search, that would have been a start. We'll have to see. Oh yeah, did you watch the new Spy trailer? I did, Animamus. I did. I was sad not to see Tobey Maguire and Garfield in it, because I know they're in the movie because of the set pics. I'm pretty sure those are real. But yeah. Alex said, okay, seriously, what on earth is going on at the... Why is Ojiro shirtless? What, you know, White Despair, I really do think it's just they're getting ready to leave. Because Momo's hair is down, so I think they're all just... I think All Might walked in on them in the morning, and I think they're just all getting ready. I don't know where they're going. Probably going to go... Actually, they have their hero gear, so they must be going out. But yeah, man. I said that's a really good argument. I do collect the volumes. I don't think too much about the extras being a weakness, but it makes sense since they aren't incorporated into the main story. Yeah, it really depends on how you argue it, right? Like, to be fair, you know, it's always a matter of, are you looking at it with a glass half full or a glass half empty? Because in any other story, extra material is always like, oh my god, this is pretty cool. I like knowing about this, man. This is pretty neat. This is cool trivia. But with Hero Academia, like, a few of those details are actually critically important. And there's like whole things that are being removed. I think One Piece is the one to look at when it comes to the SBS, because the SBS gives you little details like the names of the devil fruits, and there's like been little details like what Oda was thinking about when he was creating some characters, or maybe little details like what these characters looked like when they were kids, or like the most critical little detail when it came to a character's backstory was with Zoro, and saying like, oh yeah, you know, Zoro's village, once upon a time, a bunch of people from Wano came there, and maybe that's the story of how Zoro went from Wano, or like his family went from Wano to the East Blue. And that's a really neat little detail. The thing with Oda though is that detail is probably going to come up in the main story again, especially right now. So when in this kind of thing, you can definitely look at execution and you can compare it. And ultimately for Hero Academia, the issue is execution, because Horikoshi does write a lot. He needs to ask Oda for world building tips, and Black Clover creator with powerful women Naruto creator for the main character how to use the talk no quirk. I do agree, and Alex said, I do agree Horikoshi's scope for the story was always going to be small compared to other big series. Yes. And he is fighting with that scope. That scope, again, I think that scope should stay small because he does better with small. Poise says, why are you so stuck with Ojiro being shirtless? I can see how Excuse is done well, but in isolation, I still like the development with the main cast character arcs. Oh yeah, no, 100%. With the main cast, it's fine. Like, let's face it, right? Alex, I agree with you when it comes to the adult heroes. The adult heroes are... I have very little issues with the adult heroes. Like Endeavor's story arc, I have little issue with it. Hawks' story arc, I have little issue with it. Nagant's thing, you know what? Aside from like just the issues of her being in the manga for a small period of time, I have no real issues with it. Mirko having a great showing against the Nomus, no issues with it, right? And then with the kids, Izuku is able to hit some pretty nice highs pretty often. Naruto Shippuden made me hate the series. Naruto was like this action thriller and felt magical, a lot of tension. Shippuden traded that for cool nuclear jutsu to OP villains. That's just escalation, right? How many days have passed? I don't know. Do you think some of the heroes from other countries will rebel and show up in the big battle at the end? Yes, Kenneth, I actually do. I think in the last 10 chapters, a bunch of them will show up just to lip service. If we were to do a joint training battle for Class 1A, whoever has Izuku on their team would be so unfair. He may still be resting and lacking crossing, but he can still curb stomp some people. Yeah, I think you have to give Izuku all the weak people. Like, give Izuku Koda, and yeah, that'll make it worthwhile. Heck, put 1A and 1B all together against Izuku. Heck, if you want to like actually get some real good stuff going on, get Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto. You know what? And God Ida. Get Ida in there as well. Get those four on the same team and then have them face Class 1A and Class 1B. Like, those four by themselves could really annihilate the majority of those two classes. I really... Like, Bakugo will flat out just support Izuku at 120%. Bakugo would be able to synergize with Izuku and Shoto so well because of how hyper competent he is. And then Ida, because this man has the brain that can allow him to scold Bakugo while also dodging high or near high-end Nomus, will 100% be able to keep up with those three and just do support activities. Those four together probably wreck everything else. If you give them Mineta, then even more they win. Let's see who elevates that that team up. If you give them Tokoyami, actually that might I feel like no you can't give them Tokoyami. He doesn't synergize well with Shoto and Bakugo at all. He doesn't even synergize with Ida. Does he synergize with Izuku? Tokoyami could synergize with Izuku, but he doesn't synergize with anyone else on that team. I really hope we get a clear villain win before their inevitable beatdown in the finale, but this chapter really makes it feel that we're going to speed run towards the end, which sucks. Well, I like to talk shit about All For One. I wish we could see him be more competent. Don't worry. Like, Horikoshi is going to try and make him competent at some point. I guess my main attraction here is about the themes of heroism, saving others, inspiring others. Seems that I value in a superhero. I also really like Izuku's character a lot. Well, Alex, but again, I think, world building is separate from the personal work here. At the end of the day, I think Izuku is really well written. Especially early Izuku is really well written. So I fully agree with you on those little things, right? We're talking about the world building, and the world building, we have all of our reasons as to why that's lacking. But this is a story about Izuku. When you look at it from that perspective, it doesn't really matter. Ojuda's martial artist, we tend to train with our shirts off. He should probably be the most ripped guy in the class. Yeah, but then you have Izuku, right, Ty? Good point, Ty. Okay, see you going, Rogue. You can see them in the Spider-Man trailer if you look close enough. Oh, wait, can I? Where do I have to look, Sar? Trip, how would giving Shigaraki a copy benefit All For One in his plan to have a copy of his consciousness merge with Shigaraki's consciousness in order to create a new intent that is neither All For... Why will then go on to steal one for all before going to steal New Order and turn the world into a replica of the world, the comic book that All For One didn't read over 100 years ago? God, White Despair, come on, stop, man, this is too much. It would benefit him because it gives Shigaraki more easy quirks to use. It gives more tools in the arsenal. Giving Shigaraki any sort of flight would just be ridiculous, Trip. All For One is far too smart for that. Sarcasm level 100. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just stupid, but I think it's cool to be able to fly in any body. Like if I had 5 bodies and I can give away powers, I 100% want all of them to fly. Because if the U.S. military is chasing me, 100% the one that can't fly is going to be the first one to get caught. Toby and Andrew being in the movie is the best worst kept secret. What if they really aren't in the movie? Actors have said Marvel makes fake scripts to avoid leaks. Toby and Andrew just hired to show up on set to distract people. I have my hero since it just overall. I do think that Hodi's better writing as main characters more than the world. Also, I don't read One Piece, should I? It depends. Like, Alex, do you like a light story about freedom? Like, One Piece ultimately revolves around freedom, and it ultimately revolves around friendship. Do you like themes of friendship and freedom and just being true to yourself? Because that'd be like what you'd be looking at, and also the world building and adventure. You don't need to read One Piece. If you have a My Hero Academia bias, I'd honestly just recommend you go and read World Trigger, because World Trigger's protagonist is probably the first Izuku. And you know people like sometimes say they wish Izuku was more of a technical character. If you want to see excruciating technical character, or like an excruciatingly weak character that you have to feel bad for, you'd go read World Trigger, because World Trigger is pretty much Izuku kept at 0 without any quirk and still being relevant in the main story by using teamwork and some level of intelligence. Imagine, right? Like, this is the Izuku that never got the big advantage that Izuku got. That would be the one that I would recommend over One Piece for you. It kind of depends, Alex. It depends on what your tastes are. Another question I have is, will the One For All user still be talking to Izuku while he's around his classmates? Imagine Izuku talking to himself and they're questioning his sanity. I think he can hide it under his muttering. Oh, hey, Viz. I still want Underguard to save MJ from the trailer. Would be a great redemption for what happened to Gwen. I know, right? Like, when I saw it too, that was my first thought too. And I went and looked in the comments, and like people are saying like, oh yeah, he's coming in to save him. And that moment when Octavius tells Peter that, hey, you're not Peter Parker, I actually really like that. And I also liked Doctor Strange flat out saying like, yeah, these guys are destined to die by Spider-Man's hands. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah, I guess the Lizard did die by his hands, right? Yeah, shit, crap, that sucks. It. Oh, hey Ray. We're discussing Hero Academia here. And guys, I think I'm gonna end it in like 20 minutes or so because I still need to work tomorrow. One year made sense, and she put in that villains would be far stronger than Naruto, especially since Naruto was just a kid at the time and wasn't even on the same level as the third Hokage as a kid. Not necessarily Gohan, because like when you look at the villains in Shippuden, they're still competitive with people like Kakashi and Guy. Like Guy's still able to take out Kisame. Yeah, was it Kisame? Like it's just like Naruto himself wasn't facing. Well, no, actually Naruto was facing like pretty reasonable threats like Zabuza. When you consider Zabuza as a swordsman of the mist, like Naruto was facing reasonable threats. The power escalation happened because you had like people like Obito, and Madara there at the end there. Trip, do you think that 1B and other students from other schools will become relevant? I believe they will have their moments but never be relevant. Poison, it's not even worth asking. 100% Monoma is going to be relevant, and so is Shinzo. And then Isana or Inasa, like the guy that Shoto and Bakugo were in provisional with, he's going to be relevant for a little bit because of the one spread back in 246. But yeah, they're probably just going to contribute to the final battle. Like, Shiketsu's linked up to Yue, so probably when Yue gets attacked, Shiketsu shows up and they start contributing. But the author, I think, already played his hands. Everyone that he's excited about, he's already said out loud. So I don't think, aside of the ones that he said, that we'll get many things for the supporting characters. Latest was interesting with the second half of the live. I wonder how that'll go. Agreed, Chris. I'm very interested in that. I love that you used my God Ida name, Trip. When he dodged those Gnome, he automatically became a top 10 here for that showing. I agree too. Izuku, Shoto, Bako, and Ida versus all class 1A and B would be so cool, but that wouldn't be a fight, it would be a massacre. Maybe during the training we'll find out what the second user's quirk is. Oh, that'd be pretty cool, Kenneth. I'd actually be pretty happy with that, to bring it out during that one. I'll look at the World Trigger. Ah, great. Yeah, Alex, let me know what you think about it. It's not as sensational as Hero Academia, but World Trigger is so willing to actually call out their characters. Like, I've seen some absolutely brutal moments in World Trigger just from how the author was able to set up a character's flaws and how they had other characters call them out. Like, holy crap moly. The thing with World Trigger 2 is that the author gets sick quite a lot. He's like, this guy's probably going to die in another 10 years because I think he had cancer at some point. Anyway, he's super sick, so it's a little bit slow paced. But, you know, I personally really enjoy it. It's a really chill thing. I'm trying to see what else I can tell you to sell it. Oh yeah, World Trigger is a lot about battle simulations. So you end up seeing like probably when World Trigger was in Shonen Jump, it was flat out the most tactical of the shonens. There's not even any point in arguing this. World Trigger is the most tactical of all the Shonen Jump series even now. In terms of the tactical Shonen Jumps, the only one that can really even come close to maybe tackling World Trigger of the current battle manga is perhaps Black Clover, but the gap between it and Black Clover is so significantly wide that it's not even worth comparing it. It's just like World Trigger has a lot of really cool narrative tricks to justify having simulated battles be so important. I can agree with Trip here about World Trigger's MC. One Piece sounds I might skim around. It would give Shigaraki more quirks to use. You're making a fair argument, Trip, but you're forgetting the quirks that Alpha 1 has given Shigaraki are all ones that fit Tomura's personality. It's very important that the new entity is neither Tomura Shigaraki, nor only has quirks that suit Tomura Shigaraki's personality. God, White Despair, I love you. Jason. Oh, hey, Jason. Hey, man, you're a little bit late. We were already talking about Hero Academia quite aggressively. Ty says, Trip, if you saw the Brazilian trailer for Spider-Man, you'd see in the final clash in the trailer that Lizard is being hit by an invisible force. Oh, you know what? I saw someone's thumbnail with that. Okay. Banning from here is giving it over some scenes and fights to fit as much as possible into 13 episodes. Okay. Doctor Strange saying, let's Scooby-Doo in the new had me laughing a lot. But what does it mean, actually? Like, that was one thing when I was looking at trailers, like, does Scooby-Doo this actually make sense? Because Scooby-Doo makes it sound like, okay, let's find the clues and let's uncover who these people are. But, like, does that make sense to do it when we know these people are coming from other worlds? I'll be leaving around 20 minutes, too. My GameStop is doing a late-night launch. Oh, Animamus. Good luck, man. I hope you get it. Okay, let's see. One thing I like about Goddess and Assassin is how she changes things to fit the person she reincarnates and hires. Oh, okay. Let's see. Alex said, I'll let you know what I think about World Trigger, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on it. I'm going to head. Oh, okay. See you, man. Drip, I've finished farming enough cryo hypostasis for Eula. I've started farming for Albedo, but now I'm prioritizing Eula on my rolls. Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to. I think I need to do some more for Eula. Also, Trip, Warner Brothers released their own Smash type game now with characters like Batman, Tom and Jerry, and Finn from Jet. They even revealed Ultra Instinct Shaggy. It's canon. Oh my gosh! No way! No way! That's ridiculously cool. I'll have to check it out, Ty. Crap, man, that's really cool. Right. This is where we go for leveling her up. I don't know. Do I have enough to level her? I think I do. I think I have enough now. Oh, never mind. I only have one. Okay. That's the cryohypostasis. So I will go fight the cryohypostasis. Oh, wait. I need to do this as well. Okay, guys. Oof. Hero Academia. That was really fun. I love the Spider-Man No Way Home, but I feel like they're trying to be the best Spider-Verse movie possible. It'll be amazing, but it won't top Sony's Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know, man. Kayla, I don't know. I don't know. Because, like, there's a lot more coming into this. Like, if you have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man talking to Dr. Otto Octavius, I don't know. I think I might feel really nostalgic about that. And if you have, like, Garfield coming in and saving Mary Jane, 100%, I'm going to love that and just think, yeah, that was... I will feel the pain at that moment. I will relive all the greatest moments of Gwen dying from the comics to the movie. And also, I'm actually really happy to see Electro again. That's going to be pretty cool. Let's see, what do you think the meaning is when Lil Tamura says Izuku's name? Kenneth, and 1 second, Jason. So White Despair has, I think, like the pretty interesting opinions about this. I don't think I'm invested enough in it to really give you a good answer. But like, I'm concerned about how creepy it looks. For me, I read it as Tenko knows who Izuku is and is waiting for him because he believes in him. And White Despair sees the situation a little bit more in a slightly different light, a little bit more of I can't describe White Despair. If you can just add how you see the whole thing with Tenko again, please and thank you. But if you don't want to, then don't worry. But yeah, I find that it's Tenko expressing hope, and I do think it's interesting. I feel like those hands though are a protection mechanism for little Tenko. The trailer was pretty cool. They even have voice acting. Got Kevin Conroy back for Batman. Okay. And then for the spoilers, yeah, Jason, I think that there's a few spots here that I found to be a little bit ridiculous. Just like the whole thing about, oh yeah, Shigaraki might be out for a week, and it's like, I don't trust any of you saying that. I see no reason to believe any of you. But okay, author, do whatever you want. And I felt good about it just because, well, this actually was the story of why no one came to help Japan. It's pretty much the story of why the heroes are on their own. So I appreciated that. Anything else? Yeah, no, actually, that's everything I got for that one. And you said the chapter was okay. I am excited to see the final chapter on Sunday, though. Bridal Tharja or Summer Cordelia? Bridal Tharja. Not even a joke from... sorry. Not even a question. Where is this girl? She's probably up there. Yeah, there she is. Ultra Instinct Shaggy using only 2% of his power to become the one true Demon Lord. Man, Ultra Instinct Shaggy versus All For One would be hilarious. All For One would be like, oh man, that quirk, oh, it's tasty. And it's like, what's a quirk? I only have Scooby Snacks. Oh, All For One would pop a gasket. Like, All For One's whole thing is based around, like, he's the best at the meta for quirks, and then someone comes in with well, actually, All For One isn't the best at just the quirk meta. He's also the best at the physical strength meta, but he doesn't really build for it. Oh, Viz, thanks. No, you're right. I am. I got confused, man. Thank you for that, Viz. You saved me there. I was wondering because it's like, Do I need to build her? But I do need to build someone. Who's the ice? There is someone I need to build. Who is it? Is it Venti? It might be Venti. I might be thinking of the animal hypostasis. Oh yeah, no, it's Venti. Thank you, Viz. You saved me a lot of time. Yeah, it's Venti. I gotta deal with Venti. I hate Grand with a passion. I'm looking forward to Tobey Maguire. Nah, man. I liked Andrew Garfield. Like, I don't care about him too much for the sequel movie, but I liked Andrew Garfield. I've always really liked him. I've liked him ever since I saw him on The Social Network. I'm not gonna lie. I think I was a little bit invested because this was when I was younger. Yeah, I was a bit invested with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone and their like on-screen romance. I thought that was really nice. But that's because I also like Gwen Stacy. Let's see. Let's see. MC Bandage. Okay, let's see. And I got Viz, who saved me from wasting time. Izuku stays saving kids. I feel like Izuku does best with saving people his age or younger. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I would definitely say that's something that happens there. Just because Izuku... Where is this guy? Okay, there we go. Okay, now, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, Izuku and the rest of the kids really aren't equipped to be dealing with the complex issues that Endeavor deals with. Like, I still think that one time where Izuku was just saying, like, oh no, Endeavor's a changed man, was just like, oh my god, Izuku, that's, like, there's a lot more going into this, man. Like, you're just being an idealistic child. But yeah, Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin, best MCU villains right now. It's cheat. I really don't have a good way to describe exactly how I feel about the Tenko stuff. Yeah, if I had to try and describe it, I would say that I feel a bit weird how certain Tenko is that specifically Izuku will be coming to save him. There we go. Pokemon Master released the last banner for current event. All four are available. I got Guzma, so I'm pretty happy, but I'm not sure I'll be able to get anyone else. I saw people pulling in the Slime Mobile Gacha game, and they gave Veldora Saitama's cloud-splitting serious punch. Oh, nice. And yeah, Jason, we talked about that at the beginning. I think White Despair had the hypothesis that possibly Shigaraki air-launched him. But it's really hard to tell. I did think it was a little bit weird on that one. Thoughts on Lizard? Excited to see him back. Can't wait to see the clashes. I really just can't wait to see 3 Spider-Men. How did they get permission to say Scooby-Doo and Spider-Man? I think you're allowed to make reference to things. Yeah, I think it's allowed to make reference to things. Or maybe they just paid like a license. But that's kind of a waste of time to pay a licensing fee for it. I don't know. I don't know how this works in the real world anime, so I can't really say. I know, like, if you're writing a novel, you can reference whatever you want. Like, no one's really gonna care. Like, I could write, oh yeah, like this is just like in Pokemon where I did this, this, and this. You could do that. Let's see. Everything surrounding that normal was too much. Agreed. Fully agreed, man. Fully agreed.
Try not to enjoy this too much.
I also like the from the Spider-Man trailer. I like the idea of Peter and Doctor Strange having a fight here, because Peter now wants to save people, and it's like, Peter, no man, like, you don't understand. Like, being Spider-Man is a bloody profession, and I know, like, he probably feels bad because of the Vulture and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, being Spider-Man is a really, really bloody profession, man. Like, you have no idea. I do wonder how Otto Octavius knows that they're all ghosts, though. Let's see. To me, this is White Despair speaking. To me, it seems that instead of Tenko whining or hoping for something, he's instead commenting that what Star just said is correct. Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're... Okay. That's a different thought than I thought you were saying. I mean, I feel like I feel like the past the past informs the present. I feel like I feel like All For One's past itself is what says, like, you're screwed, All For One. Like, heroes are always going to stand up. Which is really what makes the whole situation with the villains extremely stupid. Those villains, when they had Gigantomachia run through those cities, it doesn't matter if those villains ultimately won out. because in 20 years, every single kid that was orphaned by those villains has the potential to become the guy that takes them down, or the girl that takes them down. Like, the villains really screwed things up for them. Like, honestly, I'm well, no, I don't know if Horikoshi's gonna do it, because he might go for full forgiveness, but in the real world, the villains screwed everyone over. Like, they screwed every outcast over, because every single bad thought leading to generalizations about what turns people into villains, really, you would end up in a world like Psychopath's world, where people are ahead of time declaring you to be a criminal. That's what the villains did, but Horikoshi's gonna try and absolve them. But nah, man, if this was the real world, I feel those, like, I feel they would set back society by many decades when it comes to people's rights. Because, again, no one would ever want to risk a man-child going crazy. I'd be surprised if it didn't turn into the Psychopath's world. Also, the trailer... Let me go through the comments here. Also in the trailer at 2:11, guy on a glider, but no goblin. Was that new or Green Goblin from Amazing Spider-Man 2? I thought that was New Goblin from Spider-Man 3. That's who I thought it was. Like, I got kind of excited because I thought James Franco was going to be in this. That's wonderful. Also, as we're talking about 2003 Shadow last time, it just got me remembering how competent a villain he was. Even when he lost or even died, he never lost any menace to the audience. Yeah, it's like whenever he comes back, it's like, oh crap, here we go again. I really want to see the others challenge Izuku and want to save Shigaraki, but I'm not sure we'll get that. I don't think so too, because like Bakugo is 100% on the line of like saving people. So I think Bakugo, if he hears that Izuku wants to try and save him, he'll like, alright, yeah, we're going to be the best heroes if we actually manage to save him. Star, long as the will to protect continues to exist, will be passed on. Surely someone will be able to put an end to them. Tenko for sure. Some hero is going to. Midoriya. Oh, you know what? Actually, with the way that comes out, White Despair, that's just him agreeing with Star, right? Like, I don't see any... Like, this is the kid that represents faith in the heroes. I see no problem with this. Haven't watched it yet. Robert, planning to? Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, see ya, Kayla. It's okay, Kayla. Like, I'm probably going to call it in, like, 4 minutes or so. I'm hoping Genshin and 2.3 they find out a way to see what enemies Abyss Chamber has without leaving the team select screen. It's such a hassle to leave the whole Abyss just to view new enemies. I didn't see anything about that in the leaks viz, so I'm not sure if it actually will become a thing. Disney fought the Bride Senate, so Mickey won't go public domain for another 50 years. Oh, okay. Honestly, I'd say it's more accurate to say that All For One screwed them over. That leak was intended to simply destroy everything in one fell swoop, leaving nothing behind. All For One is the same guy. There's no way the second Goblin is James Franco. He got cancelled because of sexual accusations. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, hey, Wace. Who simply allowed All Might to go away to USA and train without any issues until he was able to come back and tear down all of All For One's 100-year empire. Yeah, All For One's... God, he's too passive sometimes. Oh, guys, I was going to say that the book that I currently have on Royal Road is getting good ratings, so I'm very happy with that. It looks like it's, like, as a lit RPG, it looks like it's doing okay. Hopefully I'll be able to maintain audience, and hopefully I'll have like a massive surge in popularity and be able to set myself up officially as a video game and fiction writer. But we'll have to see. And then I released like another test book on Amazon, and that's doing all right. Some weird stuff's happening on Amazon right now. Like, they're not advertising my stuff as much as they did yesterday. So I have like I have a 98% reduction in my ads, so that's kind of weird. So hopefully in a week things will be better for me on this one, and I'll be a little bit less stressful. Because like if this book kind of fails, it's really gonna set me back a bit. I really hope it doesn't fail, but we'll have to see. Like all my plans right now rely on everything I do generating revenue. So we'll have to see if I can cover my costs on this one. Anyway, just letting you know like what stuff's going on my side. Yeah. Like the self-publishing business is always a cruel mistress. But at least now I'll know stuff about troubleshooting if anyone ever decides to go self-publishing on Amazon. And then in terms of like the interviews, I'm still in conversations about seeing if we can get any big names in self-publishing to prop up and talk about writing. Anyway, moving on. See ya, random. There's no way the second. Okay, got that. Who simply allow. Okay, got what? How can you say that Alpha 1 is too passive? Just look at how productive he was when he personally took out the safety commission. Yeah, okay. Okay, like come on. That one was an easy smackdown on that one, man. That was such an easy smackdown. It was funny that he even bothered saying it out loud. All right. Oh yeah, I got 2 more minutes roughly. I gotta say, guys, thanks for being here, everyone. And so next week's schedule, Tuesday I won't be here because I'll be working most likely. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell the story of what happened that I got home late yesterday. It involved like people on crack and on the train, and one of them having like an overdose. But it's okay. It's okay. I'll tell the story another time. Anyway. Yeah, next week it'll be Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully on Thursday we'll be able to play Alien, and on Wednesday I'll be here for the spoilers, so hopefully we'll get those pretty early. And I got nothing else to say. Then we found out the Shredder, we knew wasn't a real Shredder, but a copycat that stole his name. The true Shredder was a demon who had the turtles literally learn moves like Sage Mode and Bankai. Alright, cool guys. I'm going to start saying the good nights here. Alright, so good night to Random, good night to Matt, good night to Ty, good night to Animamus, good night to Wace, good night to John, good night to Sarge. We have 18 people. Oh, Mark, have a good night, man. And Mark, always do a good work. Because of you, these streets are cleaner. Good night, Robert. Good night, AN683. Good night, Sar. Kenneth, if you're still there, good night to you too, man. Good night, Jason. Good night, Chris. And good night, White Despair. And Ty. But yeah, guys. See you next week. Also see you on the videos, and till next time. Oh, good night, Viz. Ending the stream in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Till next time, everybody. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. Ty.